Good morning. Today I want to speak with you about in-group, out-group, and how that affects the way that you raise your child and the future life of your child. What is that in-group, out-group? Everybody thinks that in-group, out-group is for other people. It's a community mindset. Everybody stays within the same communities. You have friends that speak only your language or come from the same school where you went. You are around people that from your religion, your religious background. You only are around people that have the same skin tone as you do, or that laugh or have the same ideas as you do. I have some news for you today. Yes, you. You think that this doesn't affect you because anyways, everybody's in their group, the selected groups, the natural groups, the linguistic group, and that should be fine like that. However, you get faced with the fact that the school started some weeks ago and your child is struggling having friends, isn't it? Your child is struggling to have good friendships, or your child is struggling to keep the friendships that she thought that she had. Maybe you just moved to a new place, a new community, and you are finding your way inside the groups. I want to talk about that today. It affects the way that you parent your child if you were yourself exposed to in-group and out-grouping and thought about it, had some introspection about it. I will give you an example. For my case, it meant that I was born in Africa and moved to Switzerland quite young. And the fact of experiencing this out-group, which is going out of the group where I was born, to discover a new group, was a life-changing experience for me. That's the bigger challenge. But the first small ones were, as a child, I was compelled to sell vegetables at the market. And while I was doing that, I had to learn to integrate different groups. I was not the one that was by nature fitting in all groups possible. But that skill, learning that skill and honing that skill really helped me for later in life. You would say, yeah, why would an African market help you anywhere? It did, because as opposed to many other people, what people think, school in Africa is not for free. It's a privilege. And having that privilege to visit the school as a small child and knowing that it was not the case for everybody in my village, made me to have to learn already amongst the children, amongst the friends that I had, to understand what is that in-grouping and out-grouping. There was a group of kids that were going to school. They were the ones that were smart, academically informed, and they started having their own kind of grouping because, you feel superior. Academics tell you that, like you say in German, wer lesen kann, hat mehr vom Leben. Whoever knows how to read has a little bit more for their life. So you have that mindset that because you're academically better versed than others, you're better. And then there were other groups. For example, the groups of French-speaking people. There were the groups of Pidgin-speaking people. And there were the groups of people that were learning German, Spanish, different languages. And in that melting pot, as a child, I had to learn very quick for my own survival to penetrate groups that I were not necessarily meant to join, and to learn what it is to be outside of that group. I can tell you, learning that early as a child is a very humbling piece of cake that you eat. You eat a cake that tells you you're not the most important person in the world. Nobody cares how you're doing. Some few people actually love you, but you don't notice them. Some people actually care very much for you. When you show up, if you're not there, they actually miss you, but you don't find that out when you're so focused being in your group. That was just the story side of it. So talking about parenting, how does that affect your child? If you haven't learned yourself that outgrouping or ingrouping is something that affects your life choices, and eventually how you also parent your child, please look at it again. This is one of the reasons why we moved cantons in Switzerland, so our children can get to know a different culture within the same country. And this is also one of the reasons why we moved countries, so our children are constantly a bit learning how to penetrate new groups. No, we're not going to be moving anytime soon again, because it's better when they have certain stability. That's true. But you have to understand that being the outsider is something that every human being should experience and acknowledge, if not once in their life, many times, because it helps to humble you. It helps to see the humanity in other people. It helps you also to realize that how much people are not so jolie as you thought they would be. So your child is struggling with friendship, and I believe that ingrouping and outgrouping has a karma, a certain amount of karma that is attached to it. The more you invite people, when you have the power to invite different people in your group, and you do so, you will be also eventually a person that is being invited to join different groups when you feel you need it or when you feel you want it. All my life, I have never been rejected from entering a group, because my in-grouping, out-grouping karma is quite high. As a child, I had to learn to be the outsider, to observe people, because that's also my nature. Observe people from the outside, see how the group, even without having a group head, who is the representative of this group, if you could go and say, who is the head of this group, please give me the rules and obligations so I can abide by them and join your group, that would be so much more easy. People are actually part of groups that they don't know themselves they're being part of, and vice versa, they're being excluded from groups that they really don't know that they're being excluded from. So please help your child very early on by letting them play with other kids. When children are little, the fact of playing helps them to develop their brains, their social skills, and their adaptability to life. Because eventually, when you're raising a child, you're raising them to be able to join the world that is not necessarily with you in it. They are going to meet people that are not you. They're going to be living with people that is not you. They're going to be marrying people that is not you, and all these things. Their life will be happening normally outside of the frame where you exist in, and that's very good. So it is important from get-go to make sure that your children or your child joins different groups, and to observe your child, observe yourself, how you act within grouping, out-grouping. It will help you very much. For example, a child, you are in the school, you're one of the veterans of the school, your family and your child, so you are going to this school since your baby is little. You're going to the Basisstufe or the F1 or F2 in the French-speaking part of Switzerland. And what you notice is that there are new kids in that school. Please be the one that teaches your child that befriending new kids or getting close to them, not excluding them, is a very good thing. Because that person has a story too, their life story. They come from somewhere, they had hopes, they have hopes. They had failures, they still have failures. Many different aspects of their lives are so versatile that it will help your child to learn their resilience skills, their adaptability skills. Please help your child and be yourself, that family that not only welcomes new kids, no, that let them come close to your group and even penetrate that group, enter that group without being gatekeeping. Because if you see new kids as a threat, or new children, new families as a threat, like, ugh, why are they here? They should have been gone a long time ago. It affects your child's life. It does. Because your child seeing you not being open to change, open to new, different people, and letting different people in your group affects them in a way that you cannot possibly imagine. And a child that didn't learn how to manage the dynamics of in-group or out-group will themselves struggle very much eventually when they are older. Please help your child to do that. Encourage your child to play with other kids. Observe your child how they play with other kids. Speak about it. Speak about situations that you noticed. Oh, child, I saw you how you were sharing your shovel in the sandcastle with that child. How did it go for you? Then they were, oh, for me, no, they asked me the shovel, so I gave them the shovel. Or I really thought that the shovel will help him because he was building that castle, and I thought, it would be better with the shovel. Whatever the reason is, please speak with your child. Ask them questions. Understand how they tick. Understand what it is that they're doing. Your child is a future adult. Yes, your child is a future adult. So not having conversations as a human being with your child, thinking there's some blabbling human being or some thing that might grow soon, and then eventually when they're old enough, you will have a conversation with them. It's not really the right strategy, because the conversation, there are many. There's conversation about sexual education that you should be having at home. There's a conversation about feelings. There's a conversation about giving, sharing, your family values, many different conversations. So you cannot really pack all that into one conversation. Please instill in your child the habit of speaking with you, talking with you. Not how was school? Good. What is your grades? This, okay, let's look at that. Let's look at homeworks. That's not the only thing you can speak about with your child. I know your days are long. I know you wake up early. I know sometimes you don't even sleep. I know you're worried about your married life. I know that at the moment you don't have really the friendships, connections that you want to have because you're so busy with this whole family thing and then earning money. Please make sure that your child is not the sacrifice to that life. Your child should be one of your priorities. And a child that you speak with, a child that feels connected to you, is a child that will be one of your friends, one of your allies when you're older yourself and they're older too. You will be able to transition from that childhood relationship, child-parent relationship, to adult relationship, where you can discuss even more complex subjects in a more nuanced ways and so on. Please do that. And remember, outgrouping and ingrouping is something that you can change. If your child is a bit more on the chubby side, if your child is a bit more the skinny one, if your child is tall, short, anything, blue eyes, brown eyes, smiley face, a bit more introverted, loves to speak loud, screams around, loves everybody, loves nature, loves plants, loves animals, all these small little groups exist. And other kids, to let each other in each other's groups, is something that if a human being learns as a child or practices, it's like a muscle. The more they practice it, how to be new somewhere, how to join that new, it's just like for you when you go into a new job, or maybe you change your job, maybe you change cities, your marriage, going from teenagehood to become adult. How do you navigate things? It's a constant in-group, out-group. And how do you manage that? You manage it better, in a more natural way to you if you've been exposed to it in a conscious manner as a child, because you understand, yes, I'm new here, I'm the outsider at the moment, but there are ways to get myself into a group. I can speak more about that subject in another video, but let me know how it is for you. What groups are you in at the moment? Which ones would you like to join? What groups are your children at the moment in? Which ones would they like to join, or which groups would they like to leave and they're not really finding the way at the moment? Ingrouping, outgrouping is a big part of the human experience. Please help your child to understand and value, as well as have tools to be able to enter groups, leave groups, and aspire to join new ones without them losing their stability or their sanity. Good luck. Have a nice day.